In the far reaches of the Andromeda sector, on a small verdant planet called Lyrathia, lived an alien girl named Zira. She was part of the Ilyari, a graceful species known for their glowing skin and luminous eyes. Zira was curious, bold, and sometimes reckless, a combination that often led her into trouble. Today was no different. Zira had wandered away from her village at dawn, drawn by the strange metallic scent she sometimes caught in the northern forest. Her people had always warned them to stay near the crystal rivers, where the energy of the planet kept them safe. But curiosity, as always, outweighed caution. The forest was dense and quiet, with sunlight piercing through the thick canopy in golden beams. Zira leaped over twisted roots and moss-covered stones, her movements light and precise. Birds with iridescent feathers darted between the branches, and small creatures squeaked and scuttled at her approach. As she moved deeper, a faint humming noise reached her ears. It was mechanical, unlike anything native to Lyrathia. Zira paused, her glowing eyes narrowing in curiosity. She crouched behind a thick fern and peeked ahead. There, in a clearing, she saw a strange human device partially covered by branches. It was silver, angular, and pulsing faintly with a blue light. Zira stepped forward carefully. Her long fingers traced the smooth surface of the device. Suddenly, a compartment opened, revealing a small vial filled with a glowing liquid. Zira tilted her head. It smelled sharp and chemical, completely different from the natural scents of Lyrathia. The vial seemed to shimmer in her hands. "I wonder what this does," she whispered to herself. Before she could consider carefully, her curiosity got the better of her. Zira uncorked the vial and took a sip. The liquid was bitter but strangely warm, spreading quickly through her body. She felt a tingle, like tiny sparks dancing under her skin. Her pupils widened as energy surged through her muscles. "Whoa, what is this?" she murmured, feeling stronger and faster already. Her movements felt lighter, almost as if the forest itself was cheering her on. Birds seemed to fly closer, curious about her sudden energy. Unbeknownst to her, the vial contained a human military serum designed to enhance soldiers' reflexes, stamina, and perception. Humans had experimented with it for centuries in their interstellar missions. The effects were unpredictable on alien physiology, and Zira's unique biology responded in ways even the humans did not anticipate. Suddenly, Zira's enhanced senses picked up a distant sound, metal crunching under weight. She crouched low, her eyes scanning the forest. A group of human soldiers appeared at the edge of the clearing. Their armor glinted in the sunlight, and they carried devices that looked like rifles. Zira froze, realizing she was not alone. The humans were on a reconnaissance mission, studying Lyrathia's flora and fauna. They hadn't expected anyone or anything to interfere. Zira, now moving with heightened agility, ducked behind a tree. She could hear their voices, though the words were strange to her ears. The sounds of their language were sharp, clipped, and filled with urgency. Zira's mind raced. She didn't want to be captured, but the serum had amplified her reflexes. She could climb trees faster than ever before. She could see the smallest movements in the underbrush. Her heartbeat was steady, but her thoughts were electric. As the soldiers moved closer, Zira realized that her body felt different in other ways too. The serum seemed to sharpen her focus, make her instincts stronger, and even heighten her awareness of her surroundings. Every sound, every scent, every movement seemed amplified. She could hear the buzzing of distant insects and feel the vibrations of the earth beneath her feet. One soldier stepped into the clearing, scanning the area. Zira held her breath. The man bent down, examining a strange plant, completely unaware of the alien girl watching him from above. Zira grinned quietly. With this new energy, she felt unstoppable. Suddenly, a branch snapped under her foot. The soldiers looked up instantly. Zira's pulse quickened, but she moved with lightning speed, leaping from one tree branch to another. The soldiers fired, but their weapons were slow compared to her enhanced reflexes. Bullets whizzed past her, harmlessly embedding themselves in tree trunks. Zira landed silently behind a rock, watching them scramble below. Her mind was buzzing with excitement. She realized that the serum didn't just give her strength. It made her feel alive in a way she had never imagined. Her body was faster, sharper, and more aware. But with this power came a new understanding. Humans could be dangerous. They had weapons and technology that her people had never seen. After a tense few minutes, the soldiers moved on, searching elsewhere. Zira exhaled slowly, her heart still racing. She had survived her first encounter with humans and the serum, but she knew that this was only the beginning. Zira carefully stashed the vial in her satchel. She didn't know what it contained, but she felt that it could change everything. Her curiosity was now a dangerous tool, one that could give her an advantage, or bring trouble. Back in her village, Zira tried to explain what had happened, but the elders were cautious. "The humans are not like us," said Elder Lyran, his voice calm but serious. "Their technology is strong, but it is also dangerous. You must be careful." Zira nodded, but inside, she was already thinking about the possibilities. With the serum, she could explore regions of the forest that no Ilyari had ever seen. She could observe humans without fear, maybe even learn from them. But there was also a lingering worry. What if the humans returned? What if they discovered her? That night, Zira lay under the stars, her glowing skin softly illuminating the grass around her. The serum's effects were still present, and she felt a quiet power thrumming within her. She closed her eyes and imagined the adventures that lay ahead, secret exploration, encounters with humans, and perhaps even a chance to protect her people in ways she had never imagined. Unknown to Zira, the humans were already analyzing the serum left behind. Their mission logs noted unusual readings and a potential alien interaction. The scientists would be eager to learn more, and soon, both sides would find themselves on a collision course. For now, however, Lyrathia was silent. Zira had survived, learned, and discovered a new part of herself. She didn't yet understand the full implications of the serum, but she knew one thing: her life would never be the same. Adventure awaited, and she was ready to face it head-on. As the first light of dawn painted the forest in gold and silver, Zira leaped into the trees once more, her senses alive, her mind sharp, and her heart full of curiosity. Somewhere out there, the humans were preparing, and the galaxy had just become a little smaller and a lot more exciting for one brave Ilyari girl. The forest of Lyrathia seemed alive in ways Zira had never noticed before. Birds sang in strange patterns, the wind whispered through the branches, and even the small creatures that scurried along the ground seemed to pause, sensing her new energy. The serum from the humans had not worn off. Instead, it seemed to pulse inside her like a quiet, steady drum, urging her to explore. Zira climbed to the top of a tall crystal tree, its branches shimmering like glass in the sunlight. From here, she could see the northern plains, the river that wound like a silver ribbon through the forest, and, faintly in the distance, the metallic glint of human machinery. Her eyes, now sharper than ever, could detect movement far beyond normal Ilyari vision. "Maybe I can see more than my own village now," she whispered, a mix of excitement and caution in her voice. The serum had enhanced her agility and strength, yes, but it had also awakened a sharper mind. Every step, every leap, every glance seemed to carry more purpose. She decided to test herself. Zira picked up a large branch and swung it like a staff. It felt light, almost as if it were an extension of her own body. She could move faster than before, and her reflexes allowed her to dodge the falling leaves and small twigs effortlessly. Each movement was precise, perfect, and completely natural. The forest became her training ground. After hours of testing, Zira finally sat on a high branch, panting lightly. She realized she had learned something crucial. The serum had unlocked potential she had never dreamed of. But she also understood that such power came with responsibility. Humans were unpredictable, and the serum had made her a target. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden sound, a low, mechanical hum growing louder from the north. Zira's senses immediately alerted her. Something was approaching fast. She leaped down silently, hiding behind a large moss-covered rock. From the shadows, she could see a group of humans moving through the forest, carrying backpacks, scanners, and rifles. Zyra's heart raced, but her mind was clear. The serum gave her confidence, not recklessness. She observed quietly as the humans checked the ground, scanning the trees, and occasionally consulting a glowing map on a small device. She realized they were tracking something, or someone. They are looking for the serum, Zyra thought, understanding immediately. The humans were clever and they would not leave until they found what they wanted. But Zyra was clever too. She had grown up learning the ways of Lyrathia, and with her new abilities, she could outsmart them. As the humans moved closer, Zyra noticed one of them pause near a small crystal formation. The soldier's scanner beeped loudly. Zyra realized this was a clue. If she wanted to protect herself and the village, she had to act, and fast. Leaping silently from tree to tree, Zyra moved closer to the humans. She could feel her senses guiding her. Every rustle of leaves, every faint vibration in the ground, every shadow in the corner of her vision. She was faster, stronger, and smarter than any human scout could imagine. Suddenly, one of the soldiers raised his hand. "Something moved there," he said, his voice tense. Zyra froze, blending perfectly with the foliage. The serum made her more aware, but she also needed to remain invisible. One wrong move, and the humans could corner her. She decided to test another ability. Concentrating, Zyra focused on the faint energy that pulsed through her body. She realized she could move almost silently, her footsteps leaving no mark on the soft earth. She could even adjust her breathing to match the wind. With this, she could observe the humans without being detected. Hours passed. Zyra watched as the humans set up a small camp, placing sensors along the ground. She noted their techniques, their methods, and even the way they communicated. Every human had a role, and every movement seemed calculated. Zyra's mind raced with possibilities. She could learn from them, perhaps even use their strategies to protect her people. As night fell, the forest transformed. Bioluminescent plants lit the paths with soft green light. Small creatures that hid during the day now emerged, glowing faintly. Zyra moved among them effortlessly, her enhanced vision allowing her to navigate without difficulty. She realized that the serum had made her feel more connected to Lyrathia. She could sense the life around her in ways she had never imagined. That night, Zyra decided to test one more thing: her speed. She ran along the riverbank, her feet barely touching the ground. She leaped over fallen logs, slid under low branches, and vaulted across rocky terrain. Her movements were fluid, almost artistic, and she felt a rush of exhilaration. For the first time, she realized that the serum had given her more than strength. It had given her freedom. But with freedom came risk. Zyra knew the humans would not leave her alone. The serum made her powerful, but it also made her a target. She needed a plan. She could not simply hide forever. She had to understand the humans, understand the serum, and understand her own new abilities. The next day, Zyra returned to the village. She carefully hid the vial containing the remaining serum in a secret cave near the Crystal River. She explained to the elders what had happened, careful to leave out the specifics of her new abilities. "I found a human device," she said. "It contains something that can make someone very strong, but we must be careful." Elder Lyran frowned. "Power is dangerous," he said. "It can protect, but it can also destroy. You must learn to control it. You must learn to be wise." Zyra nodded. She understood. The serum had given her strength, speed, and heightened senses, but she also needed patience, caution, and strategy. Over the next few days, she practiced in secret, learning to balance her newfound abilities with her natural skills. She tested her jumping, her climbing, and her stealth. She learned to sense the flow of energy in the forest, predicting the movements of animals and even detecting distant sounds that she had never noticed before. Every day brought new challenges, and every day she grew stronger and wiser. One afternoon, while practicing near the northern plains, Zyra noticed something unusual. A group of humans was setting up a device that emitted a faint hum, similar to the one she had encountered before. They were moving carefully, scanning the terrain and adjusting the device's sensors. Zira crouched low, observing. They are preparing for something big, she thought. The humans were methodical, precise, and clearly aware of the environment. Zira realized she could not simply hide. She had to intervene to protect her village and the secrets of Larathia. With a deep breath, Zira formulated a plan. She would use her speed to distract the humans, her stealth to move undetected, and her enhanced senses to gather information. If she could understand their technology, she could anticipate their moves and keep her people safe. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the plains, Zira prepared to act. The forest around her seemed to hold its breath, as if aware of the coming challenge. Zira's heart beat steadily, her mind sharp and her body ready. The adventure that had begun with a single sip of serum was far from over. Zira was no longer just a curious Ilyari girl. She was a force to be reckoned with. And soon, the humans would discover that the forest of Larathia was not as empty as they believed. With one last glance at the glowing crystal trees, Zira leaped forward into the unknown, her senses alive, her mind alert, and her spirit unbroken. The hunt, the learning, and the adventure had only just begun. The next morning, Zira woke before dawn. The forest was quiet except for the soft rustle of leaves and the faint song of glowing insects. The serum's effects were still strong, keeping her senses sharp and her reflexes quick. Today, she decided, she would venture closer to the humans' camp and learn more about their strange device. She moved through the trees like a shadow, silent and careful. The forest had become familiar territory, and with the serum's boost, Zira could navigate even the densest thickets without disturbing a single leaf. Her glowing eyes caught every detail, the subtle footprints of humans, the faint scent of machines, and the unusual patterns in the grass where the device had been set up. After climbing a ridge, Zira finally saw the humans' encampment. The device they had installed was tall and angular, humming softly as small lights blinked along its frame. The humans were busy adjusting it, consulting glowing screens and checking instruments. Zira crouched behind a cluster of rocks, studying them carefully. They are measuring something, she whispered to herself. But what? She observed quietly for hours. The humans worked in teams, communicating through short signals and gestures. Zira noticed that one of them frequently returned to the device, adjusting its sensors and tapping on the screen. Clearly, this device was important, and Zira knew she needed to understand it before it could pose a threat to her village. Deciding to investigate, Zira waited until the humans took a meal break. Moving swiftly and silently, she approached the device. It was taller than her, made of metal she had never seen before, and pulsed faintly with blue energy. Her glowing eyes reflected in the smooth surfaces. She reached out to touch it, careful not to trigger any alarms. The moment her fingers brushed the metal, a holographic panel sprang to life. Strange symbols and images floated in the air. Zira's mind, sharpened by the serum, processed the patterns quickly. She realized the device was scanning the environment, collecting data on plants, animals, and even the movements of the Ilyari. This is why they were here, she thought. They want to know about Larathia, and maybe about us. Zira made a decision. She could not allow the humans to take detailed knowledge of her village or the forest. Using her enhanced agility, she leapt onto the device, pulling at cables and twisting panels with precision. Sparks flew, and the device emitted a low hum, but Zira managed to disrupt its operation just enough to make it unreliable. The humans noticed immediately. Shouts rang out as they ran toward the device. Zira didn't wait. With a graceful leap, she was back in the trees, watching as the humans tried to repair their equipment. She realized that she had made her presence known, but the serum had given her confidence and speed. She could handle this challenge. For the rest of the day, Zira observed the humans from a safe distance. She learned their routines, how they divided their work, and the tools they used. She also discovered something surprising. The humans were curious, cautious, and sometimes even hesitant. They were not invincible, and with her abilities she could stay one step ahead. Back in the village that evening, Zira shared her observations with Elder Lyran. "They are studying the forest," she said, "and they are strong, but not unstoppable. If we learn how their devices work, we can protect our home." Lyran nodded, his expression serious. "You are brave, Zira, but courage is not enough. Wisdom is just as important. The humans may be clever, but they are also predictable in some ways. Study them carefully." Zira spent the next few days practicing and learning. She tested her strength by lifting heavy logs, her speed by running across uneven terrain, and her reflexes by dodging falling branches and small creatures. The serum had enhanced her abilities, but she realized that skill and strategy were equally important. One afternoon, while exploring near the northern plains, Zira noticed a small human drone hovering in the distance. Its sensors scanned the ground below, and it seemed to be searching for her. Zira crouched low, her heart steady, and focused on her plan. The serum had heightened her senses, and she could anticipate the drone's movements. When the drone moved closer, Zira leapt into a narrow ravine hiding behind rocks and foliage. She observed how the drone adjusted its path, avoiding obstacles and scanning for movement. Then, with a careful flick of her hand, she used a nearby branch to create a distraction, knocking a small rock onto the ground. The drone shifted immediately, chasing the sound, and Zira slipped away undetected. "This is amazing," she thought. "I can move, hide, and outsmart them. I can protect the village if I stay careful." Over the next week, Zira continued to study the humans' technology. She found patterns in their movements, weaknesses in their devices, and ways to avoid detection. She also experimented with the remaining serum in small amounts, learning to control its effects without overexerting herself. But Zira was not just learning to fight or hide. She was learning to understand. She realized that humans, despite their technology and strength, were fallible. They made mistakes, followed routines, and often underestimated the world around them. Zira could use this knowledge to her advantage, but she also understood that she must act wisely. One evening, while observing the humans from a high ridge, Zira noticed a change. The group was communicating more urgently, pointing toward the forest and adjusting their devices more frequently. Zira crouched low, sensing the tension in the air. Something was about to happen. She decided to investigate, moving closer under the cover of darkness. As she approached, she saw that the humans had activated a new device, larger and more complex than the first. It emitted a bright, steady light that illuminated the surrounding area. Zira realized it was scanning far beyond the forest, perhaps even the village itself. Her heart beat faster, but she felt no fear. The serum had given her strength, speed, and awareness, but it was her courage and intelligence that guided her next move. Zira leapt onto the device again, carefully dismantling key components while remaining unseen. Sparks flew, and the device emitted a loud whine before shutting down. The humans shouted in frustration, but Zira was already gone, disappearing into the trees like a whisper. She had learned an important lesson. Power was not just about strength or speed. It was about using abilities wisely. That night, Zira returned to the village. Elder Lyran awaited her near the Crystal River. "You acted bravely," he said, his voice calm but firm. "But remember, every action has consequences. The humans will not stop. You must be ready for what comes next." Zira nodded. She understood. The adventure was far from over. The humans were clever, their technology was advanced, and the forest was now a battlefield of observation, strategy, and survival. But Zira had something they did not: knowledge of her home, her people, and her own extraordinary abilities. As she gazed at the glowing river that night, Zira made a promise to herself. She would protect her village, learn from the humans, and become stronger, both in body and mind. The serum had unlocked her potential, but it was her determination, intelligence, and courage that would define her. Tomorrow, she would continue to explore, observe, and prepare. The humans were out there studying, planning, and searching, but Zira was ready. She was faster, smarter, and more aware than ever before. And she would not allow her people to be threatened. The forest of Lyrathia whispered around her, as if acknowledging her promise. Zira smiled, feeling the power of the serum and the wisdom of her people guiding her. The adventure was only beginning, and the galaxy was vast, full of secrets, challenges, and opportunities. With the stars above and the glowing trees around her, Zira took a deep breath. She was no longer just an Ilyari girl. She was a guardian, a learner, and a force to be reckoned with. And the humans, with all their technology and cleverness, would soon learn that Lyrathia was not a place to be underestimated. The morning mist hung low over Lyrathia, covering the forest in a silver haze. Zira moved silently through the trees, her senses alert. The previous encounters with humans had taught her a vital lesson. They were clever, resourceful, and persistent. But the forest was hers, and the serum had made her faster, stronger, and sharper than ever before. Her glowing eyes scanned the underbrush for any sign of movement. Tiny insects buzzed around the crystal flowers, and distant birds chirped in melodic patterns. Everything seemed peaceful, but Zira knew better. The humans were still out there, and they were determined to learn more about Lyrathia, and perhaps even capture her. Zira's plan was simple: observe, understand, and outsmart. She moved to the northern plains where she had first seen the human device. From a high vantage point, she watched the humans below. They were setting up another device, larger and more complex than before. It pulsed faintly with a blue light, scanning the terrain and recording data. "They are persistent," Zira murmured, "but I can handle them." She crouched behind a rock, formulating a strategy. The serum had heightened her reflexes and agility, but it was her mind that would give her the advantage. She studied the humans' patterns, noticing that they moved in pairs, communicated through short signals, and depended heavily on their devices. Zira realized that if she could disrupt their equipment without being seen, she could gain valuable time to protect her village. She waited until two soldiers separated from the group, moving toward a small creek. Using the trees for cover, Zira leaped silently, her movements swift and precise. She approached the device, her hands glowing faintly as she adjusted its panels. Sparks flew, and the device emitted a high-pitched whine before shutting down completely. Humans shouted in frustration, but Zira was already gone, disappearing into the dense foliage. She moved quickly, using every skill she had learned over the past days. Her speed allowed her to stay ahead of the humans, and her heightened awareness helped her anticipate their moves. By midday, Zira had returned to a familiar glade near the Crystal River. She took a moment to rest, her glowing skin reflecting the sunlight. The serum had made her strong, but she knew she could not rely solely on its effects. Strategy and patience were equally important. As she rested, Zira noticed something unusual: faint footprints leading toward her village. Her heart raced. The humans were not just studying the forest, they were moving closer to her people. She needed to warn the elders and prepare a plan. Zira ran at incredible speed through the forest, her movements fluid and silent. She reached the village in record time, her senses alert to every sound and motion. Elder Lyran waited near the entrance, his face calm but serious. "They are coming," Zira said, her voice steady. "They are moving toward the village, and they have more devices. We need to act." Lyran nodded. "We have trained for this," he said. "But you must lead them wisely. The forest is our ally, and you now have abilities beyond any Ilyari before you. Use them well." Zira spent the afternoon preparing defenses. The villagers helped, guided by her instructions. They set traps, reinforced barriers, and used the natural terrain to their advantage. Zira herself moved like a shadow, placing sensors and markers to track the humans' approach. As evening fell, the forest grew darker, the bioluminescent plants casting soft green light across the village. Zira took a position on a high ridge, her glowing eyes scanning the horizon. She could see the humans moving through the trees, cautious but determined. Their devices emitted faint pulses of light, revealing their path. Zyra's heart beat steadily. She had trained for this moment, and the serum had prepared her body. But it was her mind that would make the difference. She studied the humans' formation, anticipating their movements, and planned her next steps. When the humans reached the outskirts of the village, Zyra acted. Using her speed and agility, she created diversions, knocking down branches, shifting rocks, and sending small animals scurrying across the paths. The humans paused, trying to understand the disturbances, giving Zyra and the villagers valuable time. She moved quickly between trees, striking with precision to disable small devices and sensors without being seen. Each move was calculated, ensuring the humans could not track her. The forest itself seemed to aid her, the rustling leaves and shifting shadows masking her presence. Hours passed in tense silence, broken only by the occasional hum of a human device or a distant shout. Zyra remained vigilant, her senses alert to every movement. She could feel the serum's energy coursing through her body, enhancing her strength and reflexes, but she also relied on her own skills and intelligence. Finally, as night deepened, the humans regrouped. They seemed frustrated, their devices malfunctioning and their movement slowed. Zyra realized she had succeeded in delaying them, protecting the village without revealing her full power. Returning to the village, Zyra found the elders and villagers waiting. "They are frustrated," she said. "They will not leave easily, but we have time. We can plan our next move." Lyron placed a hand on her shoulder. "You have done well," he said. "But remember, the humans are persistent. You must continue to grow stronger and wiser. The challenges ahead will test every ability you have." Zyra nodded. She understood the responsibility now. The serum had given her power, but it was her courage, intelligence, and careful planning that had truly protected her village. She could not rely on strength alone. That night, Zyra trained under the glowing light of the crystal trees. She practiced jumping, climbing, and stealth maneuvers. She refined her reflexes, learning to anticipate the humans' movements before they happened. Each exercise made her faster, sharper, and more confident. As the stars twinkled above, Zyra felt a growing sense of purpose. The humans were clever, their technology advanced, but she was the guardian of Lyrathia. With the forest as her ally and the serum enhancing her abilities, she could face any challenge. But Zyra also knew that the humans would not give up easily. They were observing, learning, and adapting. The coming days would bring new tests, new dangers, and new opportunities. She needed to be ready for anything. The forest whispered around her, a soft symphony of life and energy. Zyra closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of the planet and the strength within herself. She had faced humans, disrupted their plans, and protected her village. But this was only the beginning. With a deep breath, she opened her eyes, glowing softly, in the night. The adventure was far from over. The humans would return, their technology more advanced, their determination stronger. But Zyra was ready. She was fast, strong, intelligent, and resourceful. She was not just an Ilyari girl. She was a protector, a strategist, and a force the humans could not underestimate. As the first light of dawn touched the crystal trees, Zyra leaped into the forest once more, ready to continue her training, continue her observation, and continue protecting her home. Lyrathia was alive, vibrant, and full of secrets, and Zyra was determined to defend every inch of it. The humans had entered the forest, thinking they could control it, study it, and perhaps claim it. But Zyra knew better. The forest had chosen its guardian, and she would not fail. With the power of the serum and the wisdom of her people, Zyra was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The night was over, but the adventure was just beginning. And somewhere in the shadows, the humans, prepared for another attempt, unaware that the forest itself was against them, guided by a young Ilyari girl who refused to be defeated. The forest of Lyrathia was alive with the soft hum of energy as the first rays of sunlight pierced the canopy. Zyra moved through the trees with unmatched grace. Today would be the ultimate test. The humans had returned, more determined than ever. Their devices were larger, more advanced, and their numbers had grown. Zyra could sense their approach from far away. She crouched on a high branch, glowing softly in the dawn light. The serum's effects were still strong, giving her agility, strength, and heightened awareness, but she knew that her greatest weapon was her mind. The humans were clever, but Zyra had learned their patterns, anticipated their movements, and trained tirelessly. Today she would show them that Lyrathia was not a place to conquer. Below, the humans moved carefully, setting up a perimeter around the northern plains. Their devices pulsed faintly, scanning the ground and recording every detail. Zyra watched them for hours, noting weaknesses in their formation and the rhythm of their patrols. She began to formulate a strategy, one that would protect her village and send a clear message to the humans. This forest belonged to the Ilyari. As the sun rose higher, Zyra leaped from tree to tree, her movements fluid and silent. She moved, closer to the humans' devices, disabling smaller sensors and creating subtle distractions. Rocks fell from cliffs, branches shifted in the wind, and small creatures scurried across their paths. Each action was precise, designed to confuse the humans without putting her directly in harm's way. The humans reacted immediately, but they were slow to adapt. Zyra's understanding of their technology allowed her to stay one step ahead. She realized that her greatest advantage was knowledge and awareness, not just raw power. The serum had enhanced her abilities, but her strategy and intelligence would determine the outcome of this confrontation. By midday, the humans had gathered near the river, frustrated by the constant disruptions. Zyra watched them from the shadows, noticing a large device in the center of their formation. It was their main tool for gathering data and controlling the area. If she could disable it, the humans' mission would fail. Zyra took a deep breath and focused. The serum had heightened her senses, allowing her to anticipate the humans' reactions. She leapt into action, moving with lightning speed. Branches shifted to block their view and shadows concealed her presence. She approached the device silently, her hands deftly adjusting panels and disconnecting key components. Sparks flew, and the device emitted a high-pitched whine before shutting down completely. The humans shouted in alarm, rushing to repair it. Zyra did not wait. She used her agility to stay ahead of them, darting between trees and leaping across rocks. Her glowing eyes scanned the area, and her mind calculated every step. The forest itself seemed to aid her, guiding her movements and masking her presence. By evening, the humans had regrouped, frustrated and exhausted. Their devices were malfunctioning, their patrols disorganized. Zyra watched from a hidden ridge, her heart steady. She had successfully defended her home without risking the lives of her people. Her strategy had worked, and the humans now understood that Lyrathia was not easily controlled. Returning to the village, Zyra shared her observations with Elder Lyran. "They are clever, but not invincible," she said. "Their technology is advanced, but the forest is stronger when we use it wisely." Lyran nodded. "You have done well, Zyra. You have not only protected your village, but you have also learned the true strength of an Ilyari. Courage, intelligence, and harmony with our land are more powerful than any device." That night, Zyra stood on a cliff overlooking the village. The glowing river reflected the light of the stars, and the crystal trees shimmered softly in the breeze. She felt a deep connection to Lyrathia, to her people, and to the life around her. The serum had given her extraordinary abilities, but it was her courage, wisdom, and determination that had truly made her a guardian. As she gazed into the distance, she saw the humans retreating, their devices disabled and their plans thwarted. Zyra knew they would return someday, but she also knew that Lyrathia had a guardian ready for any challenge. She had proven that even against advanced technology, the courage and skill of a single Ilyari could make a difference. The villagers celebrated quietly, grateful for Zyra's leadership and bravery. They had seen her in action, moving with precision, intelligence, and strength beyond any Ilyari before her. She had inspired them to value strategy, observation, and harmony with their land. Over the next days, Zyra continued to train and explore. She tested her abilities further, learning to move even faster, jump higher, and think more strategically. The serum had unlocked her potential, but she understood that her greatest growth came from practice, observation, and understanding. One afternoon, while exploring the northern plains, Zyra discovered an ancient structure hidden beneath the forest. Canopy. Its walls were made of crystal-like stone, glowing faintly with energy. She realized it had been here long before her people settled the area. The structure seemed to pulse in response to her presence, almost as if it recognized her courage and determination. Zyra stepped inside carefully. The air hummed with energy, and the walls reflected images of the forest and the sky above. She realized that this place held knowledge and power, perhaps even secrets about Lyrathia's past. With the humans temporarily gone, she had a chance to explore it safely and learn from it. Over the following weeks, Zyra studied the ancient structure. She discovered methods of harnessing natural energy, ways to enhance her abilities without relying solely on the serum, and strategies to protect her village from any future threats. She recorded everything carefully, preparing for the day when she might need to share this knowledge with her people. One evening, Elder Lyran approached her near the glowing river. "You have grown beyond what I imagined," he said. "You are not just strong. You are wise, brave, and patient. Your actions have shown the humans and our people that the Ilyari are a force to be respected." Zyra smiled. "I only did what was necessary to protect our home," she replied. "The forest, our people, and our knowledge are worth defending. I will continue to learn and grow so we are always prepared." As the sun set over Lyrathia, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Zyra felt a sense of peace and accomplishment. The humans had challenged her, but she had risen to meet the challenge with courage, intelligence, and skill. She had defended her village, learned from her experiences, and strengthened her connection to the forest. The adventure that began with a single sip of the human serum had transformed her. She was no longer just a curious Ilyari girl. She was a guardian, a protector, and a symbol of courage and wisdom. The forest itself seemed to acknowledge her growth, glowing softly and alive with energy. Zyra knew the humans might return someday, bringing new technology and new challenges. But she was ready. She had the serum, her skills, the wisdom of her people, and the strength of Lyrathia itself. She would face whatever came next with determination, strategy, and courage. And so Zyra continued her life as the guardian of Lyrathia, exploring, learning, and protecting her home. The forest was alive, the village safe, and the Ilyari inspired by her bravery. Zyra had shown that even against advanced technology, the heart, mind, and courage of one individual could make a difference. The humans had underestimated her, but Zyra knew that Lyrathia's true power lay not in devices or machines, but in the courage, intelligence, and unity of its people. She would remain vigilant, ready for any challenge, and always guided by the wisdom of her elders and the strength of her own spirit. Under the glowing sky and the shimmering crystal trees, Zyra smiled. The adventure had ended for now, but the story of courage, intelligence, and harmony with the land would continue. She had learned, grown, and protected, and she knew that the forest of Lyrathia would thrive as long as its guardians remained, brave and wise. The stars above twinkled like a promise, and Zyra, glowing softly, leaped into the trees, ready to continue her journey, protect her home, and inspire her people. The humans had come and gone, but Lyrathia remained free, vibrant, and alive, and Zyra had proven that one determined Ilyari could make all the difference.